Replay. And now your host.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another. Can y'all believe it? I'm saying the word another. Oh. And then Earl did what I said. He did what I said. Gave me my music, y'all. Okay, so Earl's over there with a hat. What he got on today? I really wanted to share something, but I ain't gonna bust him out. I said I will, but I won't. I love Earl. Earl's in the studio with me today at IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart radio station. I'm Allison Jordan, and this is 1.7 of The Brain Truth. And before we get started, I want to go ahead and shoot you guys our disclaimer. The Brain Truth does not serve the purpose of providing medical treatment or therapy services, diagnosis, prevention, or cure for any physical, mental, or emotional issue, disease, or condition. As a member of our audience, you agree that the Brain Truth does not assume liability for any physical or mental disease, condition, or issue, or any other type of loss or damage due to any information shared on our broadcasts. And I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Gemini Labs, which is in partnership with me and Dr. Rita McGuire, our company Swabs and Swirls. And yes, even though I'm here by myself, I did get a COVID test, so you're free to kiss me. Ain't got nobody else to kiss, but I'm good to go. And if you guys are ever looking for free COVID testing, we are available to you. You can call us at 708-545-2446, 708-545-2446. The holidays are coming up. We'll come to your house. We'll swab your family, your auntie, your cousins, and them coming from out of town. And just make sure you have a safe holiday. So let us know if you have an event, a wedding, anything. Also, Dr. Rita Lifestyles, NAMI South Suburbs, which I am a board member of, and River Edge Hospital. And I want to, when the ladies get on, I'll let you guys know something really exciting about that. Epic Arts and Entertainment, Patch Party Club, and Brain Truth Wakana, which is CBD products. You can find us at wakana.com/The Brain Truth. And so with NAMI, again, I want to talk about the Burgers and Blankets. The Burgers and Blankets are coming up November 13th from 11 to 8. Remember, guys, we need blankets. We need blankets because we give it to the homeless. And so drop off your blanket at Lassen Tap in Homewood, Illinois, Lassen's Tap. And you can redeem a fat, juicy burger, French fries, and a drink for a blanket. It's called our second annual Burgers for Blankets. And if you're interested in getting certified as a mental health first aider for adults, it is coming up, guys, on November 19th. So space is limited. You get certified as a national mental health first aider. And that number is 708-638-8394. 638-8394. Okay, that's all I got because I need more sponsors. I want the sponsorship to go on for like 20 good minutes. So please, we need sponsorship. We pay for studio time. We pay for anything that we need to continue to promote this show and market this show and reach our audience and reach our braingels. So the Cash App is donation, $, The Brain Truth. Please, or go to thebraintruth.com and be a supporter. Any amount will do, but we really do need more sponsors and promoters to continue the programming for The Brain Truth. Okay. I want to get into this show. I hope I did all the house stuff because that's all I've been thinking about was doing this show. This show was really gonna be exciting. I see all my people. I saw you, Tony. I think I saw Sheree. I think her name popped up. It was going so fast, but I see you guys. Hey, sister, I love you. Make sure Erica's around. Hey, April. Hey, why Vaughn Black? Oh, you need to be on the Brain Gang. Okay, so anyway, I want to bring on the Brain Gang, two powerful sisters, two of my rock stars, my point guards. That's part of the Brain Gang, and that's Dr. Gettings and Prophetess June Hollingsworth. So today we will be talking about fasting. and the physiological and the spiritual benefits of fasting from somebody who knows it from the spiritual side and somebody knows it from the physiological side. It does to the brain, what it does for the health, for the spirit. So we're going to get all into it. So I want to bring on right now Dr. Gettings. Is the Brain Truth in-house psychiatrist and on hand to assist guests as they share their truth and to identify and manage a long-term mental health condition. Dr. Gettings provides telehealth services for individuals through Asylus Healthcare, Doxy, Me, and MD Live. Did I say all that right? Those some big words. There's some big words. Hi, Dr. Gettings. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to be a part of this conversation. This is a really, really good topic, and I love all things health related. So
and the brain. Okay, so let's bring on your partner, honey.
Yes.
Prophetess June Hollingsworth, who was fasting today for me and us and everybody. And she is the Brain Truth in-house spiritual advisor. She's also my own personal spiritual advisor. Remember, she was the one who told me all this stuff was going to happen before it was going to happen. She is an author, ordained minister, and founder of J.A. Journey Consulting, a prophetic advisement service where she has a unique gift of dream interpretation. She did some dream interpretation for me. And y'all, get a prophetic advisement. It was life-changing. Like, she'll tell you some stuff. I recently re-listened to my advisement. I think I already told y'all on the show. I don't know. I just keep talking about it. And I was like, she records it and she was saying, yeah, you're going to do something with a bunch of women. You're going to change the world. You're going to heal people. I was like, no, whatever. I'm going to need my money back, lady. But she was telling me in about 98% of the stuff, except one thing, she knows what that one thing, although I spoke to him the other day on the phone.
I prayed for him today.
You did?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I talked to him on the phone. Anyway, so that's a whole nother show in itself. Whole nother segment. Today, we are going to get into fasting and the physiological and spiritual aspects of it. And so when I did some research, I had watched this piece on CNBC, and it was a neuroscientist. His name is Dr. Raul Jadial, and his fascination with the brain. And his research at Johns Hopkins found that intermittent fasting helps the brain ward off neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, while at the same time improving memory and mood. I wish I knew that because my dad, as you know, has Alzheimer's. And Dr. Jadiel says that the trick is to get 16 hours in your day, like skip breakfast and try to go 16 hours a day not eating. And his extensive research has shown that fasting can help clear the mind and awaken the senses while also boosting brain functioning. And Dr. Gettings, you can get all into the brain and all that stuff. And then from a spiritual place, my research showed, well, for religions, there are some religions that require fasting, right? So Jews for Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Then there's Buddhists on full moon days and other holidays. Catholics, they fast on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. And they also, as you know, abstain from meat during the Lent season. On Fridays, they always go like Red Lobster be packed. And then Hindus, they fast as a common practice on moon days and during festivals. The Mormons on the first Sunday of every month, Mormons fast. And then the Baha'is, they take fasting on the 19th of the Baha'i year. They fast, right? But here's the kicker. And then, of course, Muslims and Ramadan and, there's certain that require it. But Christians, and you can get it, I'm just doing my research, y'all gonna solidify it. We do it as a discipline. So it becomes more of a discipline out of requirement. And so Christians fast, and that means abstaining for a period of time for certain spiritual stuff that you're going to get into. And then there's different fasting, like absolute and dry fasting, which is like everything. And then wet fasting, which is absence of food, but they drink water. And then intermittent fasting, which you can kind of talk about. I really don't understand intermittent fasting. I did it once. I ended up in the emergency room. I told the doctor I was intermittent fasting. She said, please stop. Please stop. You don't know what you're doing. And I was like, oh, I thought I was cool. So we're going to get into that because I fast sometimes And I do see a difference. I fasted today, I exercised. I do see like a boost of this crazy energy. And then when I was in the hospital, and this is what I really want to talk to you about, Dr. Gettings, because when I was in the hospital, when you start having, depression and mental illness struggles or whatever, you don't eat, you don't have an appetite, and then your body starts losing weight. So is that fasting or is that just not eating and then they feed you? It's just all kind of like, I'm all confused about it, because it's like, if fasting helps you and then we're depressed and then we don't eat, is that helping? I don't know. So I'm turning it over to y'all. Get into it. Talk about this fasting for the brain. What's it doing? Let's go.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll start. I think it's really important that we understand the impact that food and digesting food has on the body as a whole. So not just looking at our central nervous system or the brain, but what we really have to understand is that fasting basically means the absence of food intake, glucose, which is sugar, right? Which is what we primarily use as our fuel. And when you have not ingested glucose for a period of time, right? The eye opener for me was that the term breakfast is break the fast. Like, I don't think I realized that until I was in my 30s. I never paid attention to that. So what people need to realize and not be intimidated is that we all fast. And by design, we should be fasting at night when we're asleep. Our body really cleans house. And so if we don't allow our bodies opportunities to do that, then we get a lot of buildup of toxins and things of that nature. And it really causes things to dysfunction. It causes inflammation. So when we look at the history of Western medicine, so many doctors would say that, to feed yourself when you're ill is to feed the disease. And also, when we look at our instinctual response when we're sick, a lot of times it is to not want to eat, as you just mentioned, because your body needs to address something else. So you need to look at it as, if I'm putting food in, I'm using my energy to metabolize and store, and I don't give myself an opportunity to actually do cellular repair. And we can talk a little bit more about the amazing benefits of that cellular repair, as you mentioned, when it comes to preserving our neurons and preventing neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's.
So let's go and talk now, because I want to bridge in the conversation with Prophet June. Tell us from a spiritual perspective, fasting, what does it do for the spirit? What is it doing for us in healing?
Okay, from the spiritual perspective, we are a triune being, spirit, soul, and body, right? Mm-hmm. And so the purpose for fasting is basically to weaken the powerful bond with our flesh and strengthen our relationship with God, which is spirit to spirit. Because our mind can overrule our body, but our spirit communes daily and directly with God. So fasting, the purpose of fasting is to become stronger in our spirit man, to where we can commune with God. We take the focus off food, and we're beginning to get quiet in our soulish realm, which is our mind, will, and emotions. And we begin to focus on the Lord and focus on God, connecting our spirit to spirit. So the flesh always wants to run our life, right? It's like when I teach, I say the flesh always wants to party. It has no eternal rest, right?
Right.
The flesh take you straight to hell because it always wants to party. It never wants to diet. It never wants to, get enough sleep. It never wants to be disciplined. So when we fast, we are disciplining the flesh, subduing the flesh, and we're focusing on our spirit, which is what we want to do when we're trying to connect with God. So we get quiet, and that's when we get into prayer. Something that you had mentioned, Alice, in the beginning with John Hopkins, I had read the exact same thing.
Oh, wow.
With the physical benefits. I'm like, oh, she's saying all the stuff that I was reading today. About the physical benefits and how the cellular reconstruction happens when we're not eating, when we're fasting. So the spirit side, I don't want to get into Dr. Getting's side, but
Right.
the spiritual side of it is you're bringing your flesh under subjection, so to speak, like the word of God says, like in Isaiah 58, it gives you the reasons that we should fast spiritually, which we can get into later. But that is the main reason why we fast, is to break that strength of the flesh, discipline it, and pull it down to where you can now really begin to hone into your spirit man and hear God clearly, because your mind, your cognitive function is much more clear and sharper when you're not so, focused on food and bogged down in your energy level, because now you've got all this sugar in your system and all this caffeine in your system, and stuff is really fighting against you being more centered.
So quickly, because, okay, here's my thing. So we're fasting to get a closer bond with God, right? To enlighten ourselves. But then we have medication that requires us to eat, or we got a headache because we're hungry. So is the discipline spiritually going to eliminate those kind of urges? I mean, we're talking like health, and then we're talking spirit. Which one is going to be the dominant here? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, spiritually, it's going to take time. First of all, I mean, when you fast, I'm sure Dr. Gettins can confirm this. All the toxins that are in your system, they pour right into your bloodstream. That's why you get the headaches. That's why, your eyes hurt, your sinuses, all that stuff. So your body is purging all of those toxins. So as you're fasting the spiritual side, the discipline side, it takes time. It's a cycle where you have to process all that stuff out of the body, and you just have to tough it out until you get to the point where you cleansed all that toxin out. And now in the spiritual side of the, what you're doing, you can really focus on praying and hearing and being more clear and more conscious of what you're trying to accomplish.
So we got to get through the pain. Dr. Getting, so how long can a person fast without having to go to ER? I mean, how long can we really, how do you fast? Tell these people. And then I got somebody called in already. Okay, so if you guys want to call it, they calling in already, y'all. 708-223-8953. If you guys want to call in, it's 708-223-8953. And I see your questions on the screen. We're easing into it, and we're going to start taking your calls. Is that person still on? Okay, whoever that was that called, you can call back. Sorry. Okay, we were doing intros. They were calling. They're so excited. Okay, Dr. Getty's like medically, like for real.
So there are many different types of fasts, right? You already mentioned there's dry fast, there's juice fast, there's fruit fast, there's modified fast, intermittent fasting. For those individuals that do have diagnosed medical conditions and are taking medications, I always advise you to speak with your doctor. There are modifications that you may need to make, obviously, to safely take medicine, especially people who have a history of diabetes and are taking medications like insulin, metformin, et cetera, that impact blood sugar. But when you approach fasting, like Prophet June just said, you are really trying to ease into it. Again, we all fast, right? But how many hours are you avoiding intake of food and glucose? And how many hours are you exposing yourself to food? So when you talk about the 5 and 2 or splitting up the hours in the day, some people may do 1 day eating, 1 day not eating. You could also do 5 days eating and then restrict your calories on 2 days a week. There are so many ways to kind of ease into it so that you don't become overwhelmed. But I want everyone to familiarize yourselves with the term autophagy, which basically means self-eating or eating yourself. When you don't eat sugar, your body is forced to use something else as fuel. And after a certain period of time of not introducing sugar, your body will start to break down sugar stores in your liver, which is glycogen, and it'll also start to break down your fat. That creates what's called ketones and also other coenzymes in the body that really help to start cleaning house. Your body literally goes into its own stores to get energy, and that allows it to, in turn, increase a lot of your functions and improve them, So how Prophet June already mentioned mental clarity, we see through studies that people function better, working memory, blood pressure goes down, sleep is better, so many different benefits from all of our systems, including the central nervous system. Before we knew how to treat seizures, we would put patients in rooms and not feed them. And believe it or not, the release of ketones actually helped their seizure activity. So you have to keep in mind that this process, autophagy, helps us to clear out the trash. It helps your body to get rid of debris, to get rid of toxins. We are consuming things every day that have toxins. Even our own metabolic breakdown creates toxins. And so that first 24 hours, you can get the brain fog, the headaches, the sinus congestion, all of those things. Usually around day 2 or 3 is when you start to really notice the boost in energy and other benefits. But at the end of the day, we need to educate ourselves about all the different fasts and how they should be incorporated on an individual basis, because everyone's different, right?
Yeah. Tina Scott says, I began intermittent fasting now 4 years. I am a vegan chef. Oh, yeah, she owns vegan teas. Delicious. I eat once a day, and I am now 100 pounds less. I feel great. It was the best thing I could have done. I don't use sugar, etc. Wow.
Absolutely.
And then
Go ahead.
you all have to come and eat. Oh, yeah, I'll eat at your restaurant. Wait, no, I'm not going to eat at your restaurant because I'm going to fast and lose 100 pounds. Bye. No, I'm kidding. I love your restaurant. It's vegan. It's healthy. Go ahead, doctor.
No, I was just going to say right now in America and so many industrialized countries, we're living in the midst of an epidemic. We're all addicted to sugar and diabetes type 2. And even now they are starting to refer to Alzheimer's as diabetes type 3 because the inflammation that is caused in the body from never allowing yourself to fast for this teaching that we need to eat 3 times a day. You need to eat this big breakfast with pancakes and syrup and eggs and bacon and all of this. You know, we are constantly overly consuming, and sugar is a huge toxin. So to be able to get people to understand not only that your dietary habits affect your mental health, but also to understand that we literally are killing ourselves with our nutritional habits. And we need to understand and learn more about how to treat ourselves well when it comes to food and what we consume and how often.
I was always told, Prophet June, that fasting for us spiritually was just sort of like an act of sacrifice and an act of, just to show God that, look, we can give up food and make you number one. But does it actually do anything spiritually? Like, besides just our own saying, look what I've done, I'm sacrificing for you. That's what I always thought. So
and it's so funny, coincidental that you would bring that up, because today I was reading the story in Isaiah chapter 58, and God was admonishing them for that very thing. Doing fasting for brownie points. Doing fasting to say, hey, God, I'm fasting. Look at me. I'm being pious. I'm doing all this fasting for you, and I'm a good Christian. And he was telling them that's not the reason for fasting. So no, to answer your question, no, we don't fast for that reason. For religious reasons, we fast to get connected to God. You fast to really, like I said before, to weaken your flesh so your spirit man can become stronger. And referring to that passage, I just want to bring this passage up for those that do want, to at least get some scripture on the spiritual side. It's Isaiah 58:6, and so there's 4 reasons why God tells them. He says, no, you don't fast for this reason. You don't fast so you get credit with me. You fast for, number 1, to loose the bands of wickedness, 2, to undo heavy burdens, 3, to let the oppressed go free, and the 4th reason is to break every yoke in your life. So I'm going to say one of those things is like, let the oppressed go free. Say you have unforgiveness. That affects your mental health tremendously. So if you're deciding you're going to do IF, intermittent fasting, and say 6 hours, 3 days a week, and you're going to focus on prayer during that time and really getting in there to hear from God, you will hear things that need to be released from your life if you really
yes.
make this a discipline. And there could be someone that you're holding when it says, let the oppressed go free. When you let them go free during your fast and you're saying, God, I need you to really help me forgive this person. I'm fasting to get my flesh out the way, to really focus on you and hear from you. Not only will he give you the power to release, which it does everything for your mental health, but then you get released as well, which is the optimum, that's the reason for all of it. That's the optimum goal is for you to be released more so than even releasing the person because you're the one that's held captive.
Is it fasting? Like I read somewhere, where did it say? It supports a deeper praise, sensitive to God's voice. Like it actually detoxes the spirit.
Absolutely. Because you can have a corrupt spirit.
Didn't even know that. Huh?
Spirit. Yes. So it definitely does detox the spirit. Right along with Dr. Getty's telling us how to detox the body. It works hand in hand.
Yes.
My sister has Alzheimer's, and she was a dancer from a child. This from April Spencer, and has always kept her body clean and did a lot of fasting in her walk with the church. She had early onset Alzheimer's, started in the 50s. And then you also said, is it all a mind game? I think that question came up at some point. The questions were coming up and then they were going away. So somebody had asked, is it all the mind game? I don't really understand what that means. Is what all a mind game? Just fasting? So is it all a mind game? Does anybody want to answer that? I'm not sure what that means, though.
I'm thinking, are you saying, April, does it end and begin in the mind? If that's what you mean, that, the mind is what's controlling, your desire to fast. You have to really get engaged in your mind for this to be successful, then I would say yes. Because it's definitely your mind controls your life. Your thoughts control your life. So fasting is definitely, if you want to say it's a mind game, it's very much, a part of your mind and how you go about fasting.
What is it doing to the actual brain? Like literally, doctor, when I'm fasting, is something actually happening to something? Use some of the medical stuff. Okay, go.
Yeah, so basically on a cellular level, when you are fasting, you are changing hormone production in your body. You're also changing other neurochemicals that are going to be produced during this period of time. As I mentioned, when we are utilizing ketones as energy as opposed to sugar, it promotes the release of different neurochemicals. And it also promotes the different cellular processes that include cleaning out your cells, protecting your DNA from damage. Fasting actually decreases your age, right? You've got your chronological age, but you also have the age of your cells, right? So if I give you the analogy of you have a house that you never clean, you're always putting stuff in, you're never taking anything out, it's nasty, it's toxic, it's dirty. That's what you need to envision when you think about fasting. You're allowing your body to shift from the work of breaking down food to instead the work of cleaning your house. Every day your cells are performing different jobs in the body, and those jobs create garbage and toxins and oxidative stress that we need to be able to clean out. So when you fast, what we see is that you get strength in your synapses between your nerve cells. We also see
what's a synapse? I don't mean to cut you off, but what's a synapse?
A synapse is the connection between nerve cells.
Okay.
So, and especially even in the area of the brain that's responsible for memory, like the hippocampus, and other areas that are also responsible for mood, what we see is a decrease in inflammation. So if you don't take away anything else, take away the fact that fasting helps to decrease inflammation, which then decreases cellular damage, which can help protect you from these neurodegenerative disorders. And that question that was posed about someone who developed Alzheimer's at a young age, we also have to look at our own genetics as well. Family predispositions it's not just because of diet that people do develop neurodegenerative diseases. Some people very young have already shown to have abnormalities when it comes to clearing out protein and plaques in the brain, and that buildup can lead to Alzheimer's. So there's a lot of components, if you will, but diet and nutrition and how often you refrain from consuming certain things plays a huge role in brain health.
This is just deep. I heard you say ketones. Does that have anything to do with like the keto diet too? Like when people,
absolutely.
What?
So so basically when you think about energy, you think when I eat, I'm getting glucose, right? When I don't eat, my body has to eat what's already stored. And what's stored is sugar as glycogen and also fats. And so when you start to break down those fats, you get ketones. Ketones is another form of fuel that actually has benefits over just using glucose all the time. It helps to decrease your insulin levels. So insulin being high creates more inflammation. That's why diabetes is linked to so many other inflammatory processes, even in the brain as well. So a lot of it has to do with not only detoxing, but managing those sugar levels in the body. And if you think about it, we are hunter-gatherers, right? We naturally went days without eating before we got into this society where everything is pull up to the drive-thru and supersize me, right? So if you think about how we're naturally designed, we are designed to go periods of time without food. And in order to find that food, your mental clarity, your acuity, everything has to be sharp. So what we see in studies is that when you do have periods of fasting, you are more focused. Your ability to respond physically, mentally is improved. And that comes from the fuel that you're getting, that ketone fuel.
This deep. And I mean, we don't talk about it like in the church. We don't really deeply talk about it. I know my mom used to fast a lot, and, she would fast sun up, sundown before Easter, or like when you give up French fries or curse liquor, give up stuff. But it seemed like, I don't know if the conversation was always about strengthening the spirit.
Right. Yeah, the fasting I have found on many occasions, talking to believers in church, they fast for the wrong reasons. And there hasn't been adequate teaching on the correct way to fast. You can't fast for a house, fast for a car, fast for a boyfriend. That's not why you fast.
Really?
Right.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Repeat all of that. No wonder stuff ain't come. I'll be like, Lord, please, I'm not going to eat that last French fry because I really need, are you kidding me?
This is all spirit to spirit. You're fasting to increase your communion with God, your relationship with God, and be able to hear from Him and know really what your purpose in life is for. Because He holds your purpose. And when you really begin to focus, like Dr. Getting says, taking the food out of your diet gives you more clarity, and you're focused mentally, then you're sharper even spiritually. You're in tune more with your spiritual ear, and you can hear better. So you're focused, and then that's when you start hearing things that people complain all the time. I don't hear God. I don't know how to hear God. Fasting helps you focus and center yourself in prayer where you can hear Him better.
I saw somebody had something on the screen. It went away. Somebody said something. It was real long. I like that He holds your purpose. Wow. Good stuff. Oh, I agree with this. My mom used to eat candy bars at night. Later was given cholesterol medication. This medication removes fat. It seems like she became forgetful soon after she began taking the cholesterol medication. I believe Alzheimer's is diabetes of the brain. Yes. Whoa. Oh, okay. Answer that.
No, so I had mentioned that diabetes is now becoming referred to Alzheimer's is becoming referred to as diabetes type 3 or diabetes of the brain, right? Because what we're seeing is that a lot of the inflammation and the lack of removal of plaque buildup and these amyloid plaques could be linked to insulin growth factor, which is linked to uncontrolled blood sugar. One of the things that I think is really important is for people to understand that our body is really not designed to eat at night. We go into a mode, if you will, where we are supposed to be cleaning house, your liver detoxes. And so when we sit up in the bed on our phone and eat candy bars and steaks and eggs and whatever else we eat at night, it's important for us to understand that that is so unhealthy, and it really causes metabolic dysfunction.
Wow.
Your body naturally wants to fast while you're sleeping. It can also interfere with your ability to sleep because you cut on other processes and now your body cannot rest the way that it's supposed to. So just those types of eating habits could be so easily improved upon, right? I'm not going to eat after 8 o'clock. Well, just start there. There are ways that you can make small steps to not having food or the flesh, if you will, control you so much. And just pay attention to some of these habits that you have and how they're impacting your overall energy, mood, all of that.
So you can go 3 days, because I shall be eating popcorn. Oh Lord. Sorry, Lord. Sorry, body. So you can go 3 days. So you saying I can literally start right now. I'm gonna get a real bad headache. I might get dizzy. I might curse some people out a couple of times. Sorry, prophetess. But by day 3, I'm going. I will be.
Fire. I mean, I can speak personally because the longest I fasted was about 3.5 days. But I'm talking just a juice fast, right? So not a dry fast, not a water fast, and I do intermittent fasting all the time. That's just my lifestyle. Yeah. But as far as just a straight juice fast, right? Day 3, I mean, on fire. I mean, the people in the office would get stuff that I don't think I had ever gave before. Like, just in general, the energy that you feel. And the other thing that you can see just in research and people telling you about their own experiences is that you start to be impacted less by that hunger pain, right? Like, it starts in waves. But the longer that you go into a fasting state, that first 24 hours is when that hunger instinct is the strongest. It does start to wane for sure. By day 4 or 5, things can be a little fuzzy, right? So we're not trying to encourage people to do things that are unhealthy for them. But I love intermittent fasting. I love the fact that it allows you to still consume, but slowly increase your time frame of not consuming food.
Break that down, because I really explain intermittent fasting, like for real.
Fasting means like I'm off, I'm on, right? It's intermittent. So I could say, all right, I'm going to fast for 24 hours and then I'm going to eat again. Or you could shave that down and you could say, I'm going to fast from 8 p.m. when I go to bed tonight, right, to noon tomorrow, right? And then I'm only going to eat from noon to 8. So that's considered intermittent fasting as well. It's what is your period of time that you're going to avoid consumption? And it could be on a daily basis, like days out of the week. Or it could be incorporating it within your day where you're saying I only eat at these times, right? So 12 to 6 or 10 to 4, whatever the case may be, right? That's my period that I allow myself to consume.
So April says she's doing everything that we're not supposed to do. Me too, girl. I don't even care. I'm gonna do better. I don't even care who watching this show. This show is for me. I'm watching. This show today is for me. And Derek is watching. Derek, you eat too dang on much. You need to fast for all purposes. So I literally, so both of you guys are together. How do y'all bring the recipe together? If somebody right now, like April, me, we want to do better, walk me through my fasting journey, spiritually, medically, so I don't get sick, get it. And then after you tell us that recipe, really touch on it, because I believe people are afraid to fast. Medical reasons, that'll be the excuse. Is that an excuse? But really, could something, we don't want to give people advice and then they're like, something happened, but just walk us through what the combination of all this will look like. Like tomorrow I'm going to start. What's the first thing I do? What do I do?
I think you need to be realistic. I think you need to set realistic goals,
Okay.
right? So if you're not used, I mean, like I said in the beginning, we all fast, okay? The question is, how long have you fasted? Was it just from the time you went to bed and first thing you did was eat a Pop-Tart? I don't know. But you need to add on hours. So that's what I would encourage people to do. I never encourage people to make drastic changes to their lifestyle because it's not going to last, period. So if you want to start to explore it, start to think about a window of time that you think you could actually master not consuming. As it relates to people with medical conditions, I'll say it again because that is very individual. Medications can be to help control your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your cancer, whatever the case may be. So I always recommend, especially some medications have to be taken with food, right? So those types of situations and scenarios, I think it should also be approached with the guidance of your physician. But that being said, there are some, clear contraindications for some individuals depending on what medications they're taking. So I don't want to give that as a blanket statement. I would need to know exactly what that person may be diagnosed with, what they're taking, what time, why, etc.
And on the spiritual side, I always talk to people about realizing how much your flesh rules your life. It's flesh versus spirit. I was teasing someone, and we were talking not too long ago about you laying in the bed, and at midnight, you pop up out the bed and remember there's chocolate cake in the refrigerator. And so you're going to get up and run downstairs, and you're going to cut you a slice of cake. What is that? That is your flesh ruling. Your flesh basically is telling you what to do rather than your spirit man. So just like Dr. Geddes was saying, small steps. First of all, realize how much your flesh is running your life and begin to take control and stop it. You wouldn't let your child just run amok and hurt itself. So you got to start looking at your flesh basically as a child that you've got to retrain it. And so I saw someone pop up on the screen and said, pray. Definitely prayer is a part of it. And the way I tell people with that, set an alarm clock. You can't pray for an hour and you ain't prayed for 10 years. Set an alarm clock. And when I first started learning how to pray and adding it with fasting, I set it literally for 5 minutes. When that alarm clock went off, I got up, and that 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. It felt so long. But you begin to take little bites. And then with the fasting, the spiritual part, I would tell people, first of all, do you take medication? Like we were saying just a minute ago. If you have medication that has to be taken with food, then you've got to be practical. You've got to use, common sense when it comes to fasting. Maybe you can't do the type of fast that you remove food, but let's do some other things. Where are you a social media nut? Where, you just love to be on Facebook, Instagram, kids on Snapchat, whatever. Stop doing those things for 6 hours a day or 12 hours a day. Get off the phone. Some people turning their phone off is literally like cutting off their right arm. That's a huge sacrifice. Fasting is all about sacrifice.
Okay.
When you're sacrificing that particular thing up to God. You're saying, Lord, you're more important than my phone being on and attached to my hip for 6 hours. You're more important than me, having to be on social media and always doing IG posts and always checking to see who's on Facebook. So you can find other ways to fast if you absolutely cannot do food. There's also the Daniel fast, where, you can do just vegetables and fruit, or you can do liquids only, which a lot of people do that. Taking medication, but if you have something on your stomach, like a protein shake or something, then you don't have to worry about getting sick, especially when, people that are diabetic and you have to watch your glucose level. So it's all about being sensible and starting where you are, not letting someone make you feel, guilty or you're not a good person because you're not able to fast.
Yeah. I'm loving it. And like, when you fast, Prophetess June, what do you like? Do you have to pray, or is fasting a form of prayer? Like, because some people would be like, I got to go to work. I got to do this. Is it important to combine the prayer and the fasting for it to be effective?
It really is. And what people should stop focusing on is being all grandiose about prayer. Prayer is just talking to God.
Mm-hmm.
Prayer, listen, God, let me tell you something. This is not working for me today.
Okay.
That's prayer.
Yeah.
Don't be so focused on how you talk to God. Just
talk to him.
Yes, you have to couple communing with God, however you want to, label that as praying with your fasting, because that is all about the conversation with Him. And it's like a friend that you haven't heard from, for a week. Well, if you don't pick up the phone and call them, how are you going to hear from him?
Yeah,
if you don't put God and talk to Him, how are you going to hear from him?
My grandmother used to answer the phone, praise the Lord, every time the phone rang. And when I told you guys I was in the hospital, and she came to me and she was like, do you know why I do that? Why I answer the phone and say, praise the Lord every time? And I go, well, yeah. I mean, she goes, because you should be talking to God every day. And if your phone is going to ring, my phone is going to ring. If I don't do anything else, do something that you do every day, so you know that you've made that connection, you've acknowledged Him. So now Sister Jenna teaches us to brush our teeth. I hope y'all brush your teeth every day, or when you're taking a shower, do a habit so it becomes a habit. And so that it becomes part of natural being, spending those times, so that you don't, like you said, Prophet, is like, we don't have to actually, sometimes I'll be in the bed and I'm like, oh, I need to talk to God, I need to pray, but I'll be too tired to get out and get on my knees. And I'll be like feeling bad. And I'll be like, sorry, God, but I'm tired. Can I just talk to you from here? That's okay. I could just lay there. Okay. Woo! I never asked nobody that question. Okay.
When we're with our husbands, we lay in the bed and talk to them. We don't get on our knees and talk to our husbands.
Right. Yeah, we only got to look at them. No. But, sometimes you just don't know the disciplines. And like you say, be grandiose about it. And like, I got to get my Bible holder. I got to go on my knees. But you can just make sure you're in community. Okay. Nobody called in.
21 days breaks a habit. So just do it.
Nobody called in. Everybody was calling in, but now they're not calling in. If you guys want to call in, we got about a good 10 more minutes. 708-223-8953. Call in right now or post your question here. We're going to have to wrap. This stuff be going by so fast. You said you were going to fast for me today.
I did.
And you did. What did that look like? Can we get like a sneak peek? Like, what do? You just wake up and you just, I'm trying to be nosy, and I am. What does you at this high level, like, we're not on a VIP level like you, but what does that look like? Because it worked. It worked.
No, but for you, this is what I do when I'm fasting for someone.
Okay.
That person is my total focus. So today, Allison, you were my focus.
Woo.
I was talking to God about you. So when I wake up in the morning after I'm thanking the Lord, I'm going in my fast and saying, Lord, I thank you for this fast and what it's going to accomplish, the reasons why I'm fasting. And I'm fasting to break yokes. For Allison, there's some things that I privately can't say, but I was asking the Lord to do for you according to Isaiah 58:6. And then in addition to the fasting, my regular prayer, I said, I'm praying for exceptional favor for her. Lord, every person that she talked to today, I ask you to give her favor with them. I ask for you for special connections, contracts, Lord. You do exceedingly abundantly above all that she could ask or think. But I thank you that you're going to do Ephesians 3:20 for her, and she is going to get the things that she goes for. So I'm like focusing on you. When I'm fasting for you, I'm talking to God specifically about you, putting you up before Him, and saying at the end, so be it.
Well, today I had that meeting today that we were talking about with River Edge Hospital. I'm not going to go into micro details. However, we are doing some big things with River Edge Hospital, and I walked through those doors today. That was the last time I was at River Edge. I came in by ambulance on a stretcher. And when I left, I was 40 pounds less and I was on antidepressants. So I never really saw how beautiful the hospital was. And there's a new CEO. Her name is Allison Davenport. And we met for a couple of hours. We hugged, we cried. And we are in a partnership now with River Edge Hospital on a lot of things. But most importantly, when I was in that hospital and I got on my knees and I started to pray and ask God for favor. And then when you pray today, I literally feel, I don't know about you guys that are watching, and when Prophetess talks, she's the real deal. When you have people praying for you and standing for you, and that's what the brain gang is. That's what the brain truth is that this information that we're giving is because we love you and we're standing for you. We care about you. And when you feel it in your spirit, there is something happening. There is something major. So when she says, I'm fasting for you, that's just not something that you just throw out. That is, she just said what she actually did. And that's gift. That's gifting somebody. That's powerful. And so not only did the meeting go well, I went back into those halls and I felt so empowered. And I'm going to be going back and talking to some of the women there and the patients. I'm going to be on the very floor. Now, how was I to know that was going to manifest in my life? Then I left there and stopped by. We were going to get some food. And I said, oh, let me go inside that place and just see what kind of CBD products they have in this CBD place. And I went in. The owner was talking to me, and I told him I work with Wakana. He said, I just went to the weed cafe. It's not weed that y'all think weed, but it was Dr. Rita's place. And he goes, I want to get involved. And I go, well, get involved with what I'm doing. My part. He goes, I want to carry your products in my store.
Mm.
And I'm just like, wait a minute, hold on. And he goes, and we left out. He called us back in. He was banging on me. He goes, come back. And I promise you, this is what I said. My cousin is right here. He goes, how did you find me? How did you even know? I said, we were just driving. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to say that. I said, Prophetess Drew was fasting for me. And I said, God is directing me. That's why. And he said, amen. Let's do a lot of business together. And I will carry all your products here. And I will take everything off just like that. That just happened right before the show. And so I am a walking testimony of what God has done in my life. And I love you guys so much for giving of your knowledge and yourself. And so I don't know who wants to call in. If y'all don't, this show was for me. I was the audience. I really believe that fasting from a spiritual standpoint and from a medical standpoint is true. And I want you guys to close out, because we are literally, I cannot believe this, coming to an end. But I want you to close out with some parting words so that we can literally, somebody listening right now will think twice about it and fast for health reasons, coming from you, doctor and prophetess. Get these people to fast.
So I'll say this, given all the reasons that fasting can help you from a health perspective, I think it's the decreasing biological age for me, okay? So just knowing that I can do something by incorporating that self-discipline, by not consuming, and my body will literally regenerate, and that's what it's programmed to do, is absolutely divine and amazing. And so I think that we collectively need to understand more about how we function and not let society dictate to us what time we should eat, what size meal we should be having, all of those things that we've been taught that are so unhealthy and that are creating these chronic diseases and illnesses that we have. America has lifestyle diseases predominantly. So I encourage everyone who's listening, educate yourself about what you're eating, what you're consuming. You are what you eat, and you are what you don't eat. We'll keep it at that.
And it's so important to remember that you are spirit, soul, and body. You're made up of 3 parts, and all 3 parts are important for you to take care of. And your spirit is the pristine part of the triune that you have to get to God. You've got to understand that You have got to de-corrupt your spirit. And fasting is the number one way to begin to be able to get centered and hear from God. And know your purpose is so important for all of us to know our purpose. I'm watching Allison walk into her purpose like never before in her entire life. She is at the beginning of walking into her purpose. So if you want to do what she's doing, she's letting God lead her. Right? That's how she got here. And fasting and praying is so important. So I will leave you with this. If you've never fasted, start very, very small. Do it the way you can do it, not the way others are doing it. So customize your fast for yourself. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty. And then pray for just a minute, 2 minutes, however you can start out. That is your way to begin to walk towards God so you can start your path on hearing what your purpose is for your life.
Woo! Thank you, Dr. Gettings. Thank you, Prophetess. The next time somebody tell you I'm fasting for you, understand that is the ultimate gift. And just like, okay, girl, stop and say thank you. And so I just want to stop and say thank you. Thank you, Prophetess. I love you. Thank you, Dr. Gettings. I love you guys so much. I'm sorry. Every show, maybe I should get Kleenex as a sponsor. I don't know. Because every show I'm just filled with so much knowledge and so much help. I see you, Rachel. Thank you. Thank you, Greta. Awesome Prophet June. And I saw you, Rachel, another gang member. Thank you. And guys, keep watching. April, thank you. Thank you all for tuning in for another episode of The Brain Truth. Next week, I just saw who's going to be on the show next week. I don't know. I think, Prophets, you need to be with me again, because this show next week is with a friend of mine. Her name is Sarita Talbert, and her son was murdered. But here's how deep this is. The night I was sitting in my living room and I heard a gunshot out my window, and I literally felt a sense of and this was a few years ago. And so while I was going down last year, she and I were Facebook friends for years, never met in person. And she felt compelled to come to my house to bring me food and groceries. This is when I was in the bed before I went into the hospital. And she sat outside my window in a bunny outfit for Easter. She would just come and entertain me. And I would sit in my window and just talk. And then she called me once. She goes, "My son was murdered right around the corner from your house." And I said, "What was the day?" I remember the day. She told me. And I said, "That's the day that I met your spirit," because I felt that in my soul. I did not know that was your son. I would later find out that my son knew this kid. And so now we're here and she's ready to talk for the first time because watching our show, she's ready to talk about it and change. And I can't wait for you guys to meet her and hear her story. So tune in next week when we talk about a grieving mother and what she's been doing, because she has an organization that's helping people. And so keep watching us every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard on IntellectualRadio.com, an iHeartRadio station, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, everything. Brain Truth. We're everywhere now. We're everywhere now. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you took away something here on this conversation on fasting. And we'll see you guys next week on The Brain Truth with Allison Jordan. Bye, guys. I love you.